Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So today I have a brand new digi download art journal collage kit to play with. I'll show you it in a second, but before I do, you see my face, look? A big red blemish, big red mark on my face. Don't worry, Ian's not been beating me or anything. This is what happens when you sleep with your rings and you sleep on your hand like that. You end up grazing your face. Never mind. Self-harm, in a way. Anyway, as I was saying, back to the important business. A new whimsical digi download kit. So what I'll do is I'll switch over to my overhead camera and I'll show you what the kit entails. So this is it. So you have the full-sized composite image or collage image for larger art journals. And just if you're wondering, it is approximately just under 9 inches in height by approximately 5 inches in width. So this one will fit the standard large size journals like the now smaller Dina Wakley Multisurface journal, which I will be using in a moment, and the large Dilutions journal. If you have a smaller one, I'll show you that in a moment. Page 2 is all the component pieces if you want to put it together yourself. If you like fussy cutting, then you can cut the individual pieces out and just make it up yourself. Or you can just use the composite one like I tend to do because I'm lazy. Not really, it's just because once you've done it, it's easy that way. And this one has all the composite pieces and it also has the full collaged image for smaller journals, and that one measures just slightly over 6 inches by about 3.5. So that will fit perfectly with the smaller journals, either the Strathmore, the Flip, or the standard small Dilutions creative journal. So that one will fit those. Strathmore Multimedia will also fit. It's too big for that one. Just one might just squeeze in actually. No, it won't. But that one will fit. This is one I haven't even touched yet. It's brand new, never even opened. For a later date when I've finished my next Dilutions one. So that is the kit. So you've got all the little bits and pieces to put it all together yourself, or you can just cut out the full image as it is, add bits to it or not, as the case may be. There's also just a companion piece there that you can just either cut out, which also measures 3 inches in diameter. Diameter. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm also going to use that sentiment or that quote for my art journal page today. So without further ado, I'm going to disappear off and cut out my teacup gent and that sentiment, and then I will be right back. Now, where did I put those scissors? So there you go. There is the large image all cut out, even cut out the teacup handle, and I've gone around the edges with a distress pen. I just used black soot for this one because there's mostly dark colours that we're going to be using in our art journal page using this today. So that's cut out, and there's the sentiment. Now I deliberately cut this on the wonk. As you can see, it's not got straight edges. I deliberately did wavy lines as I was cutting it out because I want to introduce some wavy lines as a border to my art journal page, which is why I've got my Dilutions journaling block out. I've dusted this off because I haven't used it for a while, and I want to use the wavy edges to create a stripy border, just like the socks, the witchy socks, all the way around my art journal page. So I have kind of got an idea what I want to do in my art journal today, but whether it actually works out as I plan is a different matter altogether. So first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to grab some clear gesso, and I'm going to just give the page a quick once over with the clear gesso before I start with anything else. So just a quick smatter over I'll just pick it up off the lid. Waste not, want not, and all that. I always find that these clear gesso pots from Prima Marketing are like yoghurt pots. The stuff that gets on the underside of the lid is always thicker than what's actually in the pot. It's almost like it starts to thicken up and dry out under the lid if you get any under there. See, I shouldn't really mention yoghurt pots when if Mr. Bentley's about, because he starts getting excited. He loves his yoghurt. His yogurt. Okay, let's see, just make sure we've got some plenty at the top. I'm going to be putting some paint on this page anyway, so this is probably just a little bit like overkill today. Probably don't really need it, but hey, you know, can't build a house without foundations. Okay, I'll get this dried and then I will be right back. Okay, that page is now dry. Now that seemed to take forever to dry today. Don't know why, but hey ho. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some Dina Wakley acrylic paint. Now this is the lapis blue. And I'm going to just add maybe 5 dollops, little mini dollops around the page. And then I'm going to grab my little brayer and I'm just going to create a kind of grungy background, build up some of that colour like so. Nice. We like that. We like the colour. I need a wet wipe. A baby wipe. A wet baby wipe. Just give that a quick wipe over. Rather than bore you to death, let me do that. And when I'm done, I'll be right back. It's better. Okay, so just give that a little bit of encouragement to dry, but it was pretty much dry anyway. So I'm now going to bring out Peacock and I'm going to do the same thing. So this time a little bit more this time, and then actually this peacock looks more green than anything. Right, now while that's still wet, I'm going to drop in a touch of that lapis while it's still wet. There we go. Just to bring a bit of that dark colour to the surface. So I don't want it too bright. Just add another little bit of the peacock while everything's still a little bit. There we go. That's more like it. That's looking more like I envisaged. Okay, I'll get that dry and then I'll be back. Okay, next up I've got some bubble wrap. Now I need just to cut this in half. So I want to use 2 lots. There, so I've got some olive acrylic paint. So another on the cool side. Ooh, this is dropping things on the floor. And I have just a little plastic palette here. I think this is from Indigo Blue. I'm not really sure. Could be, possibly, probably. Now, what did I do with that bubble wrap? Oh, memory. Shocking. Now, I'm going to do a quick tester on a piece of paper because I'm not very sure. This is. No. Don't like it. Don't like it. It's not bubbly wrappy enough. If there is such a thing. Let me just cut some more from a different piece. I've got a stash just over to my left hand side that you can't quite see at the moment of different sizes of bubble wrap. That's more like it. There, you see, bubbles are a bit more pronounced on that one. And then I'm going to start adding in some of that green. Nice green. Olive green. Just like that. I love bubble wrap. So handy. And some up there. Love it. Just want to add a bit more. I'm just painting the bubble wrap, and then I'm just going to increase the areas where I've got it to include a little bit more. That's more like it. And bearing in mind we have got a focal image that we're going to be sticking down into the middle of the page, so it doesn't really make a lot of difference if you bring it too far in, because it's going to be covered anyway. So that I like. Me likey, likey, likey. Right, I'm going to put that to one side. By that I mean in the bin. Heat gun. Try this and I'll be right back. Okay, that's now dry. So I'm going to bring in, let's see if we've got another, yes, there we go. Let's use some of the turquoise. So some of that turquoise paint, just dab some down there on a mat, and then I have an old banker's card. So I'm just going to spread a bit of that out, and I'm going to create some lines. Not many. And this is a great way you can create movement on your page depending on which way you do your lines. And also creating a kind of frame. Go lightly through the middle. Like I said, it's going to be covered up in that middle bit. It just helps to break up that dark colour that you've laid down. That'll do. That will do. Of course, you could use white if you wanted to. but I wanted to keep the white till the end. I'll just clean off that banker's card and I'll get that dry and then I will be right back. Okay, so my little turquoise lines are now dry and the page has cooled down enough for me to be able to work on it because it did get a little bit hot. And I've got my cutout collage image, just like so. So I've got some Slap It On matte, which is matte medium. And I'm just going to squirt some of that on the page. Get a nice grounding for it. Because I've used acrylic paint, obviously it's not going to move anywhere. And then I can just grab, so I can just quickly run over the back of this as well, because this does help when you're collaging stuff down. If you also do it on the back, it will help prevent wrinkles and bubbles. Not that we'll probably get many because I've printed this on just slightly heavier paper than the standard photocopier paper that I normally use. Mainly because it's easier for cutting out, because I like to use a scalpel for cutting. And if the paper's too thin, it's not as good. Well, I don't think anyway, but hey, that's just me. So this has been printed out with an inkjet printer. I have mentioned that my printer that I use, my Epson WF2630, which I will put the number on the screen now for those that are interested, is one of those printers that when it's dry, it's permanent. So it's an inkjet, but it's permanent when dry. The ink that the printer uses is Durabright ink, which contains a resin, and that resin helps seal in the colour so that you can add stuff like matte medium over the top without that colour running. And as you can see, it's worked quite well. All dry, no shine because it's matte. So now I've got my Who Needs to Be Average sentiment for this page, which I'm going to stick like there. I will go over this edge as well, or I could actually put it just across his knees. No, I won't. I might even make it smaller. I keep putting things down. There's my scissors. There we go. Let's actually make it smaller, which means that I've already gone around the edges of this with a pen. But let's see, let's grab a blue one. I'll just use a quick Faber-Castell one because permanent. If you can see, there's like little dark patches just there. That's because I used a water-based pen to edge. And if I'd have used a non-water-based one, it wouldn't have bled and created that little dark spot. So, lessons learned. So this is India ink. That's better, the right size. Faber-Castell Pitt pen, that's the big brush Pitt pen, is India ink. Okay, so I'll just add a little bit more of that matte medium. That sounds like an Ian coming up the stairs. Hello.
Hello, that's brilliant.
Hey.
I didn't know you had a picture of me with my tights on.
And I'm going to stick that down just about there. And there's a Mr. Bentley come up as well.
You're just going for our walk.
You're going for a WLK? Yes. I suppose I can say the word properly now because you're going, aren't you?
Yeah. Come on, Piglet.
Okay, so that's now glued down. Give it a blast, get it dry, and then we can move on. All dry, nicely dry. Time to bring in the Dilutions journaling block, and I'm going to use a Uniball Signo white opaque pen, and hopefully this isn't going to let me down like they do sometimes. To just get it going on my hand. And then lift that up and then just follow that same curve like so. Do some wavy lines, and then I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. Or should I do it that way? Let's do it that way. These pens are usually really good for writing on acrylic paint. It's got a bad cough. And then, I don't know whether you just heard him leave. And then just move that matte medium out of the way. Bring that in just to create that border. Now, I tried to find my white Posca pens. Can't find them anywhere, so I've just had to order some more from the eBay. Here we go, that'll do. Okay, so what we do now is just divide that up. So the Posca pens would have made this so much easier. I suppose I could paint it, couldn't I? Let's paint it. Let's paint it. Grab some white, some titanium white, and a small paintbrush. I knew I'd need. There we go. That would no. Let's do a bigger one than that. There we go. Grab that palette. Put some titanium white in. And let's paint some lines. Let's do some proper painting. Let's just create some white stripes. Coming down the page. We'll tidy them up in a minute. Or not. It doesn't really take that long to do something like this. But it's restful and it's soothing. And we all like restful and soothing. A nice cathartic exercise. Big words for a Tuesday. Maybe two more. Another one there. Just give those a second coat. There's too much showing through. that'll do it. That'll do it. Right, let's get it dried. And I shall be back. Okay, that's now dry. So I'm going to go back over those lines, this time in black, because I don't think the white stands out enough. Just to give it a little bit more oomph. And a wee bit more pop. So I'll do a little bit of black and white. So this is the beauty of art journaling. You can change your mind and go with what's working and ditch what ain't. On the fly. And you don't have to answer to anyone. Ain't that a doozy? Mind you saying that, I shall probably have to deal with some people thumbing down. That's my dealing with. Because you can't please everybody all the time. Nor would I want to. Here we go. So that looks better. So what I can do now is I can now start blocking out and just lining those stripes in. And that just helps to tidy it up a wee tad. And of course they don't have to be perfect, because I'm not perfect. But don't tell Ian that. Don't want to be admitting to such a thing. Could have put an extra one in there, look. But it don't matter. There we go. See, I'm concentrating, I'm forgetting to talk. And some people are going, thank goodness for that. So that helps just to make that pop a little bit. So now I can grab that white uniball again. Let's just see whether or not we can coax it into working. And we can start adding in some doodly detail, because you can't go wrong with a bit of doodly detail. And I'm trying not to get my hand into any of the paint or any of the pen that I've just done. Some of these dots will disappear, obviously, because the edges are mottled anyway, but that's fine, it just all adds to the grunginess. So I'm just making words up as I go along now. Doodle dots, doodle dots. Can't go wrong with some doodle dots. If you've got the patience to do them. Look at that. Fabaroni. And then if you wanted to, you could just add many or as few as you want. You've only got yourself to please and nobody else. I like it, I like it, I like it a lot. And I think actually I'm going to leave it there. I'm not even going to outline or go around any of this because it's got a dark background. It doesn't really need it. And because you've got all that grunginess down at the bottom, just down here, and also the line with those doodle dots, his feet are kind of grounded anyway. So you could write in journaling up here if you want to in a white pen just to make it stand out a bit more, but to be honest I've not really got that much to say today apart from this one, so I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to call this a page done, but I'm going to use a white pen just to sign it and date it just down at the bottom here. And I think today's the 15th. Is it? Is it though? It is the 15th. Tuesday the 15th. 15th of May, 18. And I'm going to call it done. Done, 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 done. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, without whose generosity and support these videos would not be possible. Thank you.